When Christ came into the world, he said, "Sacrifices and offerings you have not desired, but a body have you prepared for me. In burnt offerings and sin offerings you have taken no pleasure." It is Monday, the 26th day of December, 2022. It's time for the reading of our devotional thought for today, and it's being read from the book Truth for Life by pastor and author Alistair Begg. Today's devotional thought is entitled Christmas According to Christ. And the verses today, Hebrews chapter 10, verses 5 and 6, which reads, "When Christ came into the world, he said, 'Sacrifices and offerings you have not desired, but a body have you prepared for me. In burnt offerings and sin offerings you have taken no pleasure.'" That's the book of Hebrews chapter 10, verses 5 and 6. Alistair Begg writes, "The Gospels of Matthew and Luke introduces us to a whole cast of Christmas characters with whom we've grown quite familiar. Joseph, Mary, the shepherds, the wise men, and so on. Sometimes we even consider those who are less known, such as Zechariah, Elizabeth, Anna, and Simeon. With each passing Christmas season, we have probably been treated to sermons and studies from the perspective of just about every cast member. Yet, there is one notable exception. Surprisingly, few of us have pondered Christmas from Jesus' vantage point. In this verse, the author of the letter of Hebrews tells us that when Jesus stepped onto the stage of history, he took the words of Psalms 40 upon his lips. Just as Cinderella's glass slipper fit only her foot, these words fit nobody but Jesus. God was preparing for the first Christmas throughout the centuries of the Old Testament, for all the Old Testament sacrifices were mere shadow of the reality to which they pointed. Those sacrifices involved death of animals and had to be prodded to the altar. They had no choice in the matter. They were simply pressed into service. But before he even experienced humanity, Jesus knew his role. His sacrifice would be different. He willingly consented. In the humblest of forms and in an unexpected setting, God the Son took on a body that was prepared for him, prepared as a ransom for many, Matthew chapter 20, verse 28. He looked at this broken world and its sinful people, and he said to his Father, "Yes, I will go there. I will become one of them, and I will die for them." Peter grasped the weight of Christ's death when he writes, "He himself bore our sins in his body on the tree, that we might die to sin and live to righteousness. By his wounds you have been healed." 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 24. Jesus, being fully God and fully man, entered this world to do in his body what no animal sacrifices could do. He has borne our punishment, cleansed our consciences, and held out divine mercy. He perfectly accomplished all that is necessary for sinful men and women to enter into fellowship with God. This is very different from the promise of mere religion, in which rules and efforts become futile mechanisms of trying to reach or climb into heaven. In contrast, the manger's message is one of liberating mercy. God has wonderfully taken the initiative and came to rescue us through Jesus. We don't need to make a long journey to find God, because Christ, the newborn King, knew his role. What is the right response? Simply to bow before him humbly, praise him wholeheartedly, and wait for him expectantly all of our days. And the Christmas message clearly displayed in this devotional thought, Christmas according to Christ. Our response, simply to bow before him humbly, praise him wholeheartedly, and wait for him expectantly all of our days. May he find you waiting anxiously waiting for his soon return. And that concludes our devotional thought for this 26th day of December 2022. Those of you reading through the Bible in a year, Micah chapter 6 and 7, and Luke chapter 22, verses 21 and 46. Clive Walsh here. May the Lord richly bless you.